The rental market is becoming tighter and tighter across Australia's major capital cities and even in the regional locations. Rents have continued to move up over the last 6 to 12 months, so let's have a look at Australia's rental market and what's going on the ground. Troubling sign for renters as market tightens with number of listings plummeting. Those moving to these capital cities will soon find it much harder, with data revealing renters will soon struggle even more. Rental availability across Australia's major cities has hit a 20-year low, with warnings the tight market is set to worsen throughout 2023. Strong demand for properties has met with low supply to cause a headache for Australians hunting for a home, according to the new PropTrack report. Now, why might this be the case? Well, we've seen rate rises from the RBA for the last 6 to 7 months now. And what this means is it's becoming more unaffordable for investors to hold rental properties. This in turn has reduced the supply on the market for rental properties and therefore pushed up rental prices in in-demand areas in particular. Those inner city locations, those locations that have good access and amenity, good transport, good infrastructure, that are in demand because of their lifestyle, these properties are scarce because there's not as many properties on the rental market. So with low volumes of stock available for rent at a time when demand for rentals is strong and is likely to increase further, we expect the market to remain extremely challenging for renters. Across the nation, the rental listings are now at their lowest level since 2003, with the capital cities recording a 26.3% fall in the number of available properties. You can see here with this on-screen graphic that there's a big plummet in metro locations and a small tick down in regional locations. We actually own properties in both metro and regional locations. We own several properties here in Brisbane, and we also own a property in Coffs Harbour. Now, rental demand for these properties has gone up significantly. We just increased the rent on our properties a small amount in Brisbane, $30 a week, and we did bump up our rents in Coffs Harbour because they were significantly below market value when we bought that property. I think it's really important that investors and landlords try and find that balance. A lot of people think investors and landlords are super wealthy and super rich, and they might have a lot of paper wealth, but if they don't have the cash flow coming in, then typically it's all going to fall apart in terms of having a property portfolio or being an investor, unless the investors have significant cash reserves and they can ride out the ebbs and flows in cash flow. What this means is landlords and renters need to find a market equilibrium where supply meets demand. This is the economy we live in. And so when Emily and I look at raising the rents on our properties, we look at comparable properties in the area and we look to charge fair market value. We don't look to overcharge, we don't look to undercharge. We look to meet the market in terms of the price point. What this means is prices in those in-demand areas are going to push up. So if you've bought properties in in-demand locations, you should be seeing rental increases at this point in time, even though you've probably seen on the other side of your balance sheet significant increases in interest rates. All this to say, I think there should be a balance between landlords and renters when it comes to finding the right rental price. So the year-on-year change in total rental listings as at December 2022. So you can see here Sydney's got a 25.8% decline. Melbourne has a 36.54% decline. Brisbane pulled back 17%, and then your other majors pulling back somewhere between 12 and 15%. Regional New South Wales has seen a spike at 26%, same with Hobart and Canberra. In Sydney and Melbourne, the two largest rental markets in the country, rental stock is reducing quickly and demand for rental properties is increasing. Most overseas migration that will occur over the coming years will be in these two cities, which will increase the demand for rental accommodation. Here's another graph showing the average change in median weekly advertised rents. Sydney up 7%, regional New South Wales close to 7% as well, Melbourne 10%, Brisbane 12%, 12% in Adelaide as well, and 12% in regional WA. This is showing that there's a significant increase in the annual change in median weekly advertised rents. So a 10% increase year on year, you could be looking at a $500 per week rent the year before, and now we've got a year on, it's looking at $550 per week for rent. This is going to hit people's pockets at the end of the day, and rent is a big cost for most people. I've just released a budgeting video earlier in this timeline, in this YouTube timeline, where I was chatting that rent is one of your largest expenses. So a lot of people will be struggling if they don't have a big savings rate. So check that video out if you're looking to save more money. It's critical that we find more ways to create supply, either through increased investment or more build-to-rent projects, or we reduce demand, which seems unlikely. I have to say that's probably the case. Long lines of prospective renters waiting outside property inspections are expected to continue, with the number of inquiries for listings also soaring. The number of inquiries per listing has risen 31% in the past year in capital cities, paired with a 30% fall in inquiries in regional listings. It's been described as ideal conditions for landlords. Properties are also leasing in record time due to Australians snapping up the dwindling number of properties on the market. The median number of days a property was available for rent on real estate was a record 18 days in December 2022 compared to 21 days in December 2021. Well, it's still going to take a few weeks to rent out a property, so a couple of days doesn't seem to be a big difference there. Properties in Sydney currently stay on the market for an average of 20 days, Melbourne properties are averaging 22 days, and renters in Brisbane, Adelaide and Perth have only 16 days to snap up a property on average. So this is what's happening in the rental market. There's reduced stock, significant demand, and not much supply coming onto the market in the next 12 to 24 months. What this means is people are fighting tooth and nail to get a rental property, and if they aren't fighting tooth and nail, they're seeing at least generally around that 10% increase, or somewhere between 5 to 20% depending on the averages, because 10% is an average. What this means from an investor's point of view is you need to be making sure your property is at market value, because you don't want to sell yourself short on the market price, but you also don't want to price gouge and try and claim a 20% increase when market value is really a 10% uplift. For me, property investing is a long-term game, and I know I say that a lot, but it's not about gouging an extra $20 a week from someone that's renting that home. It's about holding that asset for a long period of time, seeing both capital growth and cash flow work for you as an investor, and that individual renting the home or the family renting the home, seeing it as their home because it is their residence. It is one of those basic needs that we all need as humans, that shelter. And so it's about finding that balance. I think we're going to continue to see the struggle in the rental market, and that's why I think it is important that investors are out there owning rental properties, and that's why the Australian government does have incentives for investors. Now, I'd love to hear from you in the comments down below. Are you a renter who's struggling to find a place? Are you an investor looking to find the balance between increasing your rents but not price gouging? I'd love to hear from you in the comments, so leave a comment down below around what you think's going on here in Australia with these rental prices. Otherwise, if you could drop a like on this video and subscribe to the channel down below, and head over to purposeproperty.com.au if you're looking for a Brisbane-based buyer's agent to help you secure your next purchase in the Brisbane or Southeast Queensland market. Thanks for sticking around. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.